Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited for today's conversation. Joining me is Alex Kleinjan, Deputy County Attorney at Pima County Prosecutor's Office. Alex brings rigorous prosecution experience in one of Arizona's busiest jurisdictions, working amid evolving legal operational and community impact demands. Alex, thanks so much for joining us. To kick us off, can you start by telling us a bit about your background and what led you into a career in law?
Thank you both. Honored to be on the podcast. My background, I'm from Nebraska, Hastings, Nebraska, the birthplace of Kool-Aid, and that's where my family still is. I was a proud Husker in law school, but in undergrad I went to Grinnell College in Grinnell, Iowa. I believe I was a senior there when David Z. Dye, to my right here, was a freshman, and we were introduced through a mutual friend, and the rest of the story is too long to be told in the intro to the podcast. But thank you for bringing me on. I would say there was a rigorous experience line in there. I've been a prosecutor for almost a year, so that might have been a little bit puffed up, but I appreciate the kind introduction, giving me more credit than perhaps I deserve. But I've been prosecuted almost a year. What I can talk about, given certain ethical rules and confidentiality, I'm happy to talk about tonight. It's great to see you both. Again, it's always too long.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what led you to a career in law to begin with?
Well, I don't know exactly. The joke is like, oh, I like to argue, which is true, and my parents and my siblings will attest to that. America's Most Wanted. When I was a kid, it was a show I watched a lot, so I've been interested in criminal justice forever. I do like to argue. There were the Ace Attorney games, comical as those are, were somewhat inspiring to me through my sisters. I think I kind of picked it up through them, but those are fun games and fond memories. But debate in high school, I did debate all the way through high school. I loved it. I met lawyers doing that. I figured this is the kind of career where I get to sometimes get up and do the debate kind of stuff, which has been true so far. And that's mostly true at trial. I'm waiting to really get my big trial so far in my new role here at the office, but but having a great time with it. And it's been almost a year now somehow. But the city of Tucson in October is beautiful.
And in law, I guess there are so many areas of law, and what specifically, I mean, mention the criminal justice part, but what specifically brought you to do the prosecution niche of the law?
There's a lot of aspects to it. I'm a scout, uh, where it's public service in a sense. It's keeping the community safe, and ensuring that justice is served. A lot of it on my end, for one, to work at a prosecutor's office, is the ability to take things to trial when it's appropriate, when it serves the interests of justice, and being able to be involved in that. And of course, the criminal cases involving less of the dollars and more of the human impact. Um, but yeah, there's several considerations going into it. I thought about it both ways, right? Talking, it seemed like I would go back and forth with my father. Like, I think I want to be a defense attorney, and him going, no, no, I think you should be a prosecutor. Actually, they're more honorable. They have to uphold the law. So, like, and then going and say like, well, hey, Dad, I think maybe I do want to be a prosecutor. Him going, well, somebody has to defend the little guy on the other side, so you should also be a defense attorney. So,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Oh, I mean, how would you inspire a high school student or a college student or a law school student to get into prosecution?
I would say, like, there are some of you out there that truly are among the most gifted and talented minds, and you came into perhaps law school with more, honorable, high-minded goals in mind, and you can achieve some of those if you're willing to put in the work. The money is not going to be there. So if you're in law school so that you can make a lot of money as a lawyer, no, more power to you. But I mean, that's not going to ever look glamorous to you. But if money is not the primary factor and you're looking to really say do justice, or like in my case, like I said, like take the debating skill set into litigation, like that's what really gets my blood pumping. And so like you'll have the opportunities to do those things, and you can get your foot in the door sooner, because again, like if you're at the top of your class, but again, if you're perhaps not in it for money for this or that reason, but you're really in it for the love of the game, as far as criminal justice goes, like you
Yeah,
can.
yeah, it's really I mean, it sounds like it's both the sense of serving justice and also get the blood pumping for being in midst of the actions.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I alluded to earlier. We're
Yeah,
dealing with people's lives here and their life savings, and in families who they leave behind in a lot of these cases, and of course the entire community. So yeah,
yeah,
there is a lot of drama to it, and
yeah,
being there and living it, there is something to that.
yeah. We're gonna shift gear a little bit and talk about work.
Yes. What's the collaboration like between prosecutors, law enforcement, and defense attorneys?
Oh, again, I'm gonna if I hesitate to say something here, it's because I don't want to
Yeah,
Yeah, no worries.
put too much out there. But basically, law enforcement are the ones out there on the ground investigating the case, putting reports together. I think a lot of times how it goes is they dictate it, and it's transcribed, and that's how you get the reports. Um, you get the reports that they in in Arizona, your misdemeanors can just be cited and go through justice court. That's like the county court. I don't know how it is in Iowa. Do you have the county and the district court?
Hmm.
That's how it is in Nebraska also. But if it's a misdemeanor, it can be cited. It goes through justice court. If it's just that and traffic offenses, then it's not going to go up to superior court. It's not going to go up to the district court, as it were. But like felonies, law enforcement meet with you or talk to you, and you decide whether to charge the case. And if it goes forward, you have disclosure obligations under the rules of evidence in Arizona, and also under the Constitution, to give them certain evidence, and you talk back and forth about plea negotiation after that point. This all, of course, assumes that a grand jury finds probable cause. That's been one of the cool things about Arizona since I've come here is it's a grand jury type of system like the federal government, whereas back home in Nebraska, like you don't have a federal constitutional right to the grand jury, so a judge can find probable cause and move you into district court on a felony. And that's how they did it back in Nebraska, and that's probably how they do it in Iowa. Is I would venture to guess. But yeah, I won't say anything about the grand jury besides it finds probable cause, they indict them, and so now you're in negotiations. If those break down, it goes to trial, and there's emails back and forth. Of course, there's phone calls. You can meet in person, and I try to work things out and and settle with defense counsel and agree on things. But sometimes that's not possible, and you have to take it to court, which is also fine.
yeah, it's less work versus getting the blood pumping.
Yeah, and of
What
course,
does
the most important thing is that justice is done. But it's like it could be
absolutely.
an exciting career. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, I'm sorry. But looking closer in, what does a busy day look like for you?
It would be like get in around 8 a.m.
Hmm.
Have to be in court at 9. So
Hmm.
realistically, you have to be on your way over there earlier than that. That lasts until, let's say, 11:30.
Hmm.
You get back. You have a hearing at 1, or you have something. You have a meeting with law enforcement. Let's say at 1, or you have something going on at 1, and so you have meetings pretty much essentially, or some more court through the early afternoon, and then you have a motion to respond to, and so you need to work on that, and the emails might be slightly stacking up, but they don't get really that bad once you don't have 500 misdemeanors.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose before you go to court, you definitely need to prep the case and you need to, before you do all the correspondence with any party, the defense, the law enforcement, anybody, you got to prep the facts and be briefed and probably brief somebody else and all that. And I mean, among all that work, what are some bottlenecks, sort of, or I don't know, if you, if if you can make anything more efficient or more streamlined, or if you can reinvent the system at the drawing board, how would you how on the drawing board, how would you think uh, to make all the bottlenecks more efficient?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, and again, it comes down to if I hesitate to say a certain aspects because maybe I should say I want to err on the side of caution. But I mean that being said, I mean like there are like 3 or 4 different law enforcement agencies that if they all had a shared kind of portal would be very efficient for everybody involved, and they're all on different systems. I understand that it's, I mean there's the federalism aspect, and they're free to use what they want to use. But if there was one type of portal for it all, that on the technology side would be very nice for everyone, and it can be shared with the opposite side too. So it would really be, I mean, as long as you don't put an AI in charge of the whole thing. But but so I
Yeah,
mean, there's the computer side. On the human side, I think at least as far as my position, and again speaking in vague terms, I think it's good. And sometimes you don't charge the case, and I think that they kind of understand that. And and when you do, and it's great to work with them and meet them. And
yeah, definitely. And I mean, it, besides that, I mean, you got the nature that you're in public service means that the resource kind of, you got the constraints, both the human resource and different subscriptions of technology or all that, and just time. Like there are many cases that you could prosecute to. Among those, how do you prioritize? How do you prioritize your time, your budget, all kinds of stuff? How do you prioritize?
yeah, and that's a great question. And it's actually above my pay grade. Like I get cases handed to me by some floor below or higher up by magic,
Yeah,
and I charge those and prosecute those where that's appropriate. Um, but no, going to the higher policy questions, it's a great question. A lot of times, I think in the modern parlance, it implicates COVID and what the priorities were then. To the extent anything was prioritized back then, my sense is, looking more at the nationwide trends, that if anything was prioritized, it was really the most serious offenses, doing things such as, say, traffic offenses, to be dealt with later, which may actually be causing problems down the line just because time, like it's the whole Hobbit riddle of time eating away everything. Uh, but uh, but yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
What are
It's broadening it up a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. But I'm curious, what kind of cases do you see coming to your desk mostly? Is it more traffic? Is it more criminal? Or what kind of cases are you dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
well, it's both. I'm an auto theft prosecutor, like grand theft auto, as it were. Like
Yes.
that's pretty
Yeah.
much my grand theft auto and grand theft auto adjacent
Mhm.
offenses are what I prosecute.
I see.
So your typical case will, I mean, it's sad to say, go as far as you want into the implications and the background, but it often also involves narcotics offenses or meth paraphernalia, running from, or sorry, fleeing from police, etc., that go along with that. A prohibited possessor of a handgun, but it has to be auto theft for me to really be handling.
Now, we all know that there are so many TV shows for the general public about a dramatized courtroom, and there are plenty of people who love, are very much into what is it called?
Criminal Minds or stuff like that.
Criminal Minds, or even like
More
the
on the legal
the real stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But for you, what are the toughest parts of handling cases that involve victims or serious crimes? I know that they dramatize them a lot, but for you personally, you're dealing with these cases hands-on. What are the toughest parts for you?
Both the work-wise, but also like
Yes.
the emotional, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's thank you for the great question. I think I'm fortunate enough at this point to be early in my career, let's say bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so to speak. Uh, Having been involved in cases that have had consequences on people's lives, but have been like, I mean, I'm these are the most serious cases I'm handling now as I ever have, and it's about stealing a vehicle, which again has a serious impact on people's lives. Sometimes it's their home, you know, or they've paid it off over 10 years, or it's a reminder of someone they've lost, that's keeping them alive in memory, things like that. But I haven't yet, ascended to the point where I'm being entrusted. I think rightfully so that I need to put in my dues before I really am at that level where there's cases that, let's say, keep me awake at night. But the thing that does bother me is I mean, and David, I think you would probably sympathize with this, having gone through it before. Is that, I mean, when these offenses happen, and the person, let's say, is exposed to criminal consequences, whether that's prison or probation, or those are essentially the two ways to go. But when it comes to restitution to the victims, a lot of times the person on the other end that's supposed to be paying it to right this wrong, there's nothing for them. They don't have anything to pay out of, and it never gets paid. So the victims end up not compensated. In there are certain state funds that might assist with that down here, I believe. But that's the one thing that's bothered me a lot so far. But at the end of the day, it's a societal problem, as they say. If the people that are committing these crimes can't afford to pay the restitution, it's I mean, if it's really just the poor committing crimes, like,
Just a
yeah. To conclude the thought, it basically it goes to the heart of the matter, and you can't fix it from a certain level where I'm at yet. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
yeah. Here's a little plug for the insurance industry. Just gotta get the insurance. It's a lesson I learned. But okay, well, hey, let's talk about the future a little bit. I mean, back to the drawing board. I mean, what in the next decade, or even more, what changes would you like to see? I mean, in the whole criminal justice system now, you can talk about within prosecution, but maybe the whole system as well in the next decade. What changes would you like to see?
Thanks for the question. I think there are certain issues of federal constitutional law that are perhaps not directly spot on with the criminal justice system, but adjacent to it. If you catch my drift, that I would rather not opine on at this time, and would leave that for maybe a discussion at a later date. But as far as to the core of the criminal justice system, I think one thing that's reasonable to say, although I don't even think it's true anymore. I think Joe Biden maybe perhaps abolished it on the federal level, but there are maybe certain states out there, like unless you were dealing pounds of marijuana, it's pretty much legal in enough places. You can just drive across the border and get it. It's like bottle rockets anymore. People shouldn't be in jail for that. I think that's a reasonable argument. I don't know how much space that frees up in in the prisons, but other than that, reforms do I like to see. I mean, I rebuffed something earlier saying it goes to the heart of the matter, but a lot of the times it's like perhaps judges don't make great decisions, but a lot of the ways the system is set up are whether to retain them or not. And people that they're voting for whatever and they just check the box yes to retain the judge, and then they wonder that they sit and complain about the corrupt judge. If there was some kind of better way, maybe not even elections, maybe we're beyond that, or maybe we shouldn't be beyond that. I don't know. Maybe the wisdom of the common man really will select the the greatest judges, although I have my doubts there. But the way judges will, I'm thinking really back in Nebraska. I'm still learning the ropes down here in Arizona. I've barely been here a year now, and maybe 2 weeks. But um, beyond that, what reforms would I like to see in the criminal justice system?
I mean, how about, besides policy reforms, maybe, because for policy reforms, we got a couple of good ones going already as well. But if we switch gear a little bit on technology, we know for criminal justice, there's, huge change in technology that help, including DNA testing and maybe digital evidence and document storage, stuff like that. I know AI is kind of controversial since you mentioned it earlier, actually. What AI were not, computer were not, both forensic technology and digital technology. How would you think technology would change the way prosecutors do their job in the next decade or so?
That's a great question. Um, what jumps to my mind is the aspects of the trial, right? Like you have the AI, but I mean at the end of the day, to prove something in trial, you need to have a witness who's sworn, gives some testimony that lays the foundation, as it were, for the evidence. Are we going to allow AIs to testify? I hope not. I think not. If it's AI, at least where we're at right now, we don't have like the true artificial general intelligence quite yet. It isn't. We aren't Terminator stage yet. We're only rushing headlong into it. But uh, essentially, if it's just a word predicting generator, then it could serve that function. But
Yeah.
remind me what the question was again.
Yeah, no, it's just technology in general. How would technology change the way prosecutors do their job, where the criminal justice system works in the next
Yes.
decade?
Yeah, that's what it was. Can an AI testify in court? If not, you're still going to have a human being that's going to be able to come into court and testify as to how the process was achieved. And they might just be able to say, "Hey, we put it into the computer and it said this," and
Yeah.
like that might be good enough. Like the standards might be loosened as far as computer analysis and how trustworthy it is. I don't know if that'll be justified in the future or not. Maybe things will be cracked down upon on
Yeah.
that technological side of things to be so authoritarian that it actually is safe and secure if you're actually allowed to use the system, perhaps all on the social credit system of a certain country. But
Yeah.
well, if it's still the free market kind of AI in America, and we're just supposed to trust it in this black box that we're putting that data is being pumped into and cranked out of in a word predicting generator, I don't think that's going to be allowed to testify in court. So it's just going to, and it comes down to the jury. I think they're still going to be able to evaluate, do we think that's credible or not? Oh, they plugged it into the system. They can't explain how it works. Are we supposed to put a guy away for life on this? You know,
Yeah.
so I don't think if we're convinced to stick by the constitutional right of a trial by jury, I think its encroach will continue to be slow, as is every other encroach of technology in the law, which I welcome because I don't like AI at all. But as far
Yeah.
as making up fake legal cases, I think that's well afoot, and I think people they're going to find workarounds to make sure, like there's going to be an AI to make sure you don't screw yourself with the AI making up fake cases for your legal brief you don't want to write and don't want to pay somebody else to write. But I'm hoping the encroach of that will be slow as well. But we'll see.
Now, as a prosecutor, you must deal with tons of information and paperwork and all sorts of documents. Do you ever use any tools in your job that help you organize or summarize your work? The documents and the information and the data for you?
If we're talking about AI, no, I don't use it. I try not to use it. I probably if it's working in the background and doing something that I'm not thinking about, then I use it that way. But I try not to use it just because I'm a luddite in that way, and I want to be the guy throwing the tumbleweeds and saying you all laughed at me when the
Nice.
when the Mad Max future arrives.
But do you have to deal with a lot of documents and data and paperwork in your job?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you end up having to read a lot of police reports. That's pretty much the main thing. But obviously you read the filings of opposing counsel. If they've got a 20-page brief, you probably better read that and respond to that. Beyond that, there's because body worn cameras is not ubiquitous anymore. So a lot of times you need to review that and make sure like uh, what is said, because I mean it really is true that anything you say can and will be used against you. So making sure there's no problems with how those statements are obtained, and
Do
checking
you
through the
also have
phone,
to
what else you
go
can prove.
through past like cases to
Precedents, stuff
past
like that.
precedents to help you build a case now in the future? Do you have to look back through a bunch of paperwork and past cases to help you build cases now?
That's a good question. I have a good story with it. I haven't done a DUI trial in a while, but here in Arizona, the DUI encompasses not only like actual driving while you're over the limit, let's say, but also being in actual physical control, as it were. Meaning, like I think the legal definition in the case law, as you referenced earlier, is something along the lines of posing an imminent danger to yourself or to other people by your access, by your ready control of the car. And so a lot of times if someone's, let's say, slumped over the wheel of their car, drunk, behind the wheel, engine's running, headlights are on, maybe the car is even still in gear, maybe they've wrecked into a rail, right? They can be busted on that regardless of whether you can prove they were driving. But also, like in that case, you maybe have evidence that they were driving drunk, also by them crashing the guardrail. But uh, all of that suffice it to say, I did have to, when I ran into one of those actual physical control cases as opposed to driving, where it was purely a guy passed out in the front seat of his car with his radio blasting in his face, the car is running and everything. Like looking through the cases that talk about, it's called the shelter rule, that says if you're using your car as like a shelter to sleep it off, then you might be able to get away with it. So there are several cases I had to read for that. Very interesting. I actually just sent my research from that to a guy down in misdemeanors who has one of those type of trials coming up.
Just all the prosecution work.
So
Well,
yeah, it
hey,
comes up every now and then, and it's fun when it comes up.
yeah, definitely missing actions, that's for sure. Hey, one final advice or encouragement for what would your one sentence or couple sentences encouragement or advice for aspiring prosecutors or people who want to get into prosecution?
Do it for the right reasons. You know, don't just look at it as a job. I think it's honorable. It is a public service. You are serving your community, and it is rewarding if you're really willing to put in the work. So if you want to do it, do it. And if you're among the if you're among the top of your class, and you're maybe feeling it tugging at you. It's not all about the money, and of course anyone at any level of their class, I would encourage to come in, but do it for the right reasons.
Thanks so much, Alex. This was incredibly valuable. I really appreciate your time and openness.
And yeah, I appreciate you both. I don't know if really incredibly awesome is perhaps a little overly generous, but again, I appreciate that, and it's always great to see you both. Dave, I'm
Yeah,
sure I'll talk to you again very soon.
thank you so much.